Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm gonna be doing what if Naruto unlocked magic. So basically, if you didn't know, I'm basically gonna make it similar to the story. To the anime Afuda. Afuda, if I am pronouncing it right. So basically, yeah, I'm gonna do what if Naruto unlocked magic, and without a wait, on to the intro.
Push down the gas cause I'm flaming it up. All these pussies are actors and faking too much. Got it cold, I'ma smoke you like Dutch. Josh ain't about to collapse in his lungs. Pussy you dead, caught by the feds. Dropping that baby right.
Basically, Afuda is an anime. It is an anime where basically, I'm not gonna spoil it too much, but if you get spoiled, if you get spoiled, you could watch the anime. It's not that long actually. I think it's like 12 or 13 episodes. I think somewhere close to that. So basically, a guy named Hajime, he basically got trapped somewhere in a dungeon, and he got trapped in a dungeon and became overpowered. So basically, Naruto is like we're gonna say that he's useless in taijutsu. He's useless in taijutsu. He's like he's the taijutsu, genjutsu, and all the other attributes of being a ninja. People have called him useless, and everybody hates him. Everybody hates him, and they wouldn't really like hide anymore, and they would just beat him up cruelly without any remorse. And on top of that, not even Hinata like Naruto. She viewed him as a monster. And basically, Naruto was basically they took it another step. So basically, they took Naruto into an abandoned house outside of the Hidden Village. So and a couple shinobis did that, and they just started beating him down over and over and over again. And basically, the house was right below the dungeon, and the shinobi hit Naruto so hard. And granted, the house was pretty old and shabby, and the wood on the ceiling, as well as the wood planks on the house, they were dead wood. So when the shinobi punched Naruto, Naruto was unconscious at this point, and his head was, and he was bloody and beaten, and he basically, when Naruto fell to the ground, the house was shaking a little bit. The ceiling was about to collapse, and they were about to fall into a hole. They were about to fall into a dungeon. And basically, they just up and ran away, leaving Naruto there. And basically, the villagers lied and said that they didn't know where Naruto was, and they were doing they didn't know where Naruto was, so something like that. And they basically would make up an excuse for being outside of the Hidden Village. So basically, the Hokage would send shinobi to look for Naruto or Anbu and stuff like that. And basically, when Naruto fell, the dungeon sealed the hole, and the dungeon just sealed the top of where the house was. They sealed up the spot so nobody would notice it. So we skip when Naruto wakes up, and he basically was confused, and his head, he was like dizzy, and he and he was basically tied up, and the villagers were beating him up. So basically, it took him a couple minutes, but he broke the rope, and then he got up and looked around, and there was water. There was like water there, and look. So basically, there was animal. There were some sort of beasts, monsters, and basically, not yeah. So basically, there was almost no water except like there was almost no water in the dungeon, but there was like a cup of water, and we're basically gonna say that Naruto's thirsty, and basically he was like barely like fending off like the monsters, and granted, these monsters were kind of weak. They were kind of weak. So basically, when Naruto was at, there was only like weak monsters there, and basically they were so weak that, and let's say Naruto is like 8 years old, and basically Naruto was able to like just beat them up. Not beat them up, but like fend for himself, like barely. And once he's injured, he's dying of thirst, and he spent about a couple of hours without anything to eat or drink. So he gives in and drinks the water, water. So basically, his body was, it was aching, as it was going through his system. So like to him, the pain was like getting punched in the gut, like 20 getting punched in the gut like more than 1,000 times. And basically, after it only was like 5 minutes passed, and the like drink went through Naruto's system, and basically Naruto was fighting a monster, and was like trying to fight against a monster, and basically Naruto let his guard down, and the monster just like striked like in his stomach. Naruto thought, I guess it's the end. I fought as long as I could, but it wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough. Well, I believed that I could have been Hokage someday, but I guess a failure like me had no right to dream of such big dreams. As Naruto thought he was gonna die, but a couple of minutes passed. He didn't know what was wrong. He checked his wound, and it was already healed. He thought, wait, what was in that drink? So basically, Naruto just killed the monster. Killed the monster. And basically, that was the first time he ever killed the monster, because usually he would either like knock out the monster and then run away. But he was getting fed up of all this treatment. No, I've had enough. I'm always getting treated like crap. Every time I try to be useful, I always fail. But no, I had enough of people pushing me around and belittling me. I had enough of people lying to me. I had enough of all this. People who were trying to get in my way of surviving deserve to die. No, I will not be Hokage. I don't care if they acknowledge you anymore or not. I will acknowledge myself, and that's more than enough for me. As Naruto sees the monster's dead body as he's dying of hunger, and now because of his immortal body, he cannot die. He reaches he reaches for the monsters. The monsters. I don't know. Yeah, the monster. Yeah, he basically makes a fire, and yeah, he basically reaches out for the monster's leg and just pulled it right off, and like he begins to cook it a little bit, and then he just like digs in and just eats like the monster's leg meat, and Naruto feels his body aching, his like as he's having spasms, he feels he feels his height increase, and just the strain of like eating that monster meat makes him want to throw up and pass out from the shock. As Naruto's on his knees, he's just shaking, trying to get up, trying to compose himself, as he lets out a blood-curdled scream that echoes in the dungeon. And then Naruto froze. It all felt slow for Naruto. Naruto's DNA was changing. His eyes turned absolutely blood red, and his hair turned white as snow. He then got up. He got up, being more taller and buff. He looked at the ground, noticing that he was much more taller and bigger than he was before. He was questioning this and wondering if it was because of the monster he ate. But he was soon interrupted by another monster that was about to attack him. The monsters got more challenging and got stronger more and more. So basically, we're gonna say that 6 months passed. Yeah, 6 months passed, and Naruto has kind of adapted and became more of a animal, like more animalistic, and more like evil, should I say? And basically, Naruto has gotten more stronger as well, because when he eats monsters, depending on how strong the monsters are, he gets stronger from it. And also, the monster he ate to make himself grow exponentially was basically a some sort of werewolf type of monster. And basically what the werewolf does is that the werewolf monster that Naruto ate, it was is able to get kind of like Zenkai boosts. You know what? That Zenkai boost increase your power, when you get injured, depending on how injured you are, and then you recover, you become stronger. From Dragon Ball Z. So and as well as it makes the body of the werewolf. Yeah, the body of the werewolf is highly durable, and the bones are so thick on the werewolf that basically it's very hard for the werewolf to die. And if they and they also have some sort of high some sort of regeneration, but it's not to the point where they can't die. They could die with enough blood leaking out. There's a point where the werewolf can't regenerate further. Naruto gained all those abilities of the werewolf. As also, the werewolf is able to eat and gain power from it, which is why Naruto could eat monsters and gain power from it, as well as the werewolf had some sort of magic power this gave Naruto the ability to access magic, and now when he eats monsters, there's like a nine no there's like a 60 or 70% chance he gets magic from them, and it depends on what monster it is. So say if it's like a monster and its magic is super rare, something like that, then it's gonna be like a 50-50 chance. But if it's a monster where its magic is very common, it's more like a 70 or 80% chance. And without further, let's continue on. So basically, Naruto was basically fighting the most powerfulest beast in like the area of the dungeon he's at, and basically he smirks a little grin as he's kind of emotionless at this point. He says, "How about you come at me right now, you monster?" As basically the beast comes right at him. Well, though I can't really say that since I'm a monster now too. As he grabs the beast's head with just his right hand and just squeezes its head as like the bones are cracking and the monster's temples are like being broken, and the monster's bleeding from the head, and Naruto just disappears and appears right at the monster's back, kicking him into the air as he slams the monster into the dungeon ceiling, which is a highly durable ceiling. And basically Naruto has tried to get out like 5 or 10 more times, but he soon realized that he would have to either prove himself or just stay in the dungeon forever, or like once he is stronger he could break out. So Naruto kicks the beast into in the dungeon ceiling, and the ceiling didn't even make a crack as the beast's back was broken, shattered, as Naruto appeared right at it and said, Fire, blazing, fire, blazing, tornado!" As basically the fire he had in his left hand, he used fire magic on his left hand, and basically he shot some sort of tornado. So like it's like condensed tornado that's using both fire and wind magic to control it and condense it to that amount, but it packs the full punch of a tornado, and it basically hits the bear, severing all of its nerves, as the bear does not feel as the beast does not feel pain anymore, as its nerves are gone, but it soon dies of blood loss right after. Naruto then uses fire magic to like cook the beast and dig into it, and then Naruto basically left as Naruto saw a dungeon door open, as he's confused and thought, it looks like I actually proved myself. As Naruto finished digging into it, which only took like it only took like 10 minutes or less, because since he has like absorbed the powers of all these monsters and magic, he has a very high metabolism, so he eats a lot of monsters in it one day. He soon goes through the door and sees a girl with white hair and blue eyes, as blue as the ocean. The girl is tied on a pedestal, as she has rags she has rags for her clothes, and basically she looks up at Naruto, and Naruto is confused. What? Who are you? Naruto asked.